Yeah. In this episode, we just want to discuss, like, based on our knowledge, like, we want to go through, like, what is happening in Israel and Hamas conflict, and, like, some basic doubts that we have on how the things progress. Yes, Sushma, you can go.
Chaitanya,
Hello.
hello.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah, I'll ask later. Meanwhile,
Yeah,
you guys
Chaitanya, do
can.
you have anything to say?
Yeah, I have a few questions, but I'll ask as the topic comes up.
Means I didn't get you.
I have a few questions regarding this, but I'll
Uh,
ask as the topic comes up, like during the discussion.
okay. Like, I am thinking of, like, going in, not of discussion, but just a Q&A. About Israel and Palestinian conflict. Like, yeah, a few things I want to set up as, like, set up the thing was, like, whenever you see the news, right, you always see through the morality lens of the society that you are living in. The Americans see the war and see, like, they say it was 30,000 dead people, but I guess it was not that high. It could be probably 10,000 to 12,000, and see these numbers and see it as like a huge casualties, because in a post-industrial society, human life has very high value. Like, in whatever the post-industrial society you see, whether it was in Europe or America or Israel, the value for human life is very large. But in a feudal society, like, which is like Palestine, Gaza, or for example Jordan and Lebanon, these kind of places, the value for humans is very less. The Gazans and the Palestinians don't, the Gazans and the West Bank people don't care about the dead bodies as much as the Americans do.
Yeah.
Because they come from a different basis,
They've had a different set of
set of
experiences.
principles, set of morals. And also, like, when they say that, like, this war was so brutal, and Israeli offensive was, like, very bad, or like kind of immoral or something, these people, that's what I'm saying, the people who lived in civilized society have never seen a war think this. If you read history, this was kind of below average death toll only. It was not even like heavy destruction war also. If you want to see a heavy destruction war, go and see the Russian invasion of Grozny. They, it's not heavy destruction also. It's just, it's average destruction. You know what they did? They just gave an order to evacuate the entire city, and they just bombed the city. They leveled the city. That's it. That is what usually happens in war.
So, do you justify? Do you justify this kind of destruction?
It's not justification. It's just war. Like, you cannot, like, let's say if someone dies of old age, there is no justification. It is its nature. The nature of the old age is to die. The nature of the war is this. The war existed before you born, and war will exist after your death also. This is the way the nature exists. You cannot change that, and don't try to change the nature. Like, people who say, like, Israeli-Palestinian conflict is, like, kind of brutal, because you are seeing the photos of the dead bodies. That's why you think they are brutal. I will give you another example. In 2003, in southern Sudan, in the
You're
area
going
named
to get
Darfur.
banned after this,
Whatever, I
definitely.
don't care. No, comments are turned off. I don't care for the last video. So in 2003, there was a place named Darfur where oil was found, and few Chinese companies wants a monopoly of that. And a tribe named Janjaweed, who considered themselves to be the direct descendants of Prophet Muhammad, took machetes. It's not even guns. It's just machetes, and rode on horses and killed almost 3 lakh native Sudan Africans. And I'm pretty sure people who are listening to this don't know about this. 3 lakh people died, and it's not even like their dead bodies are buried. Their dead bodies are left like that only, and no one took a photo, so you don't care. So
Yeah,
whoever
I think
thinks that
what you're talking about is like the nature of the war. Like if
the
you
nature of
see,
the war is
even if
like
you
this, the
see,
brutality of the war is like this, is the way, the maximum brutality you can see in the place named Sudan or Darfur. Not in Israel-Palestinian conflict. In Israel-Palestinian conflict, it's just a natural war. It's even below average war only. It's not even Israel is putting all its forces.
In all of this, Tarun is offended that the war is not as good, huh? Not
Yeah,
as many
I
people have
see.
died, and
It's not so many people have died. These are, see, you don't understand the Hamas and the Palestinians. You cannot even consider them as armed forces. That's why Israel is so, delicate in hitting them. They just want to hit the targets that they want. It's not even like all out destruction.
no,
I'm pretty
that
sure
part
if
doesn't
if,
interest
if there
me.
was a war between Israel and Iran, then it will be kind of match because they have militaries and they have this kind of history of armies and this kind of stuff. They have tactics.
There are different like perspectives to this. I think, like for example, fighting terrorist organizations is always in like the conflict is different to two armed forces
See, yeah,
fighting, right?
I want to get to it. There was two streams of thought in fighting a war.
Mm,
One was the
mm,
Russian, like Eastern stream of thought. Another one was the
mm,
Western stream of thought. The Western stream of thought, the origin was in like around 1918. The
mm,
concept was basically the blitzkrieg of the German armies. What you do was you select the war supporting installations in the enemy territory. You don't destroy the enemy territory as a whole. You hit the war installations. You just like pierce through the enemy defenses and hit those war installations and destroy the ability of the enemy to make war. After that, he cannot make war. So most of the countries they will surrender. Just like
yeah,
Nazi
maybe
invasion
it's
of
like a
Poland.
guerrilla
No,
warfare
no, no,
tactic, but
not
on
like
steroids.
guerrilla warfare tactics. It's like a pincer
The
tactic.
Yeah, I'm aware of German tactics. I'm saying is like guerrilla warfare on steroids in the sense like in guerrilla you use the terrain to your advantage. Here you use the firepower in a short
Yeah,
span of
here
time to your advantage.
firepower and you form like basic defenses to
Yeah.
penetrate the enemy defense and hit the installations. For example, the installation may be a ammunition factory or a
Mm,
major city, a
mm.
capital city, or like that. Now there is another stream of war which was fought by the Russians, which is
So
basically
I have a few questions regarding this. So like this has gone for close to a year, I think 200 plus
it it,
days.
it will take even more.
So yeah, so like what's the issue right now? Like on a daily basis?
The issue was like one problem the Israeli army is having is to like basically to destroy that tunnel
Just
systems
try
which are like very
the
very dense and these things.
Mm, mm,
One thing they can do is they can pump water.
mm.
They can take seawater and pump it into the tunnels. The problem with such kind of thing was that we don't know like where are the tunnels going, how much close they are to the ground, and how much deep they are, and what kind of effect they have on vegetation after that, whether they are going to cause a permanent damage or something. And going inside a tunnel is costly for Israeli army. They don't want to go.
There are a lot of obvious questions when you think about it. Like first of all, like it has prolonged for such a long time. What is the army doing? Like,
No,
generally, if you study wars,
yeah.
as
When
long
you
as
study wars, that's what I want to explain. The Western wars are very small, not
uh,
the Eastern wars. Eastern wars are
relatively.
always long because
Also,
I think the
how many
Eastern.
how,
I'll tell
how
you.
many of the hostages have they released? Like
No, they haven't.
I
They
saw
have
the
released 10 or 12. That's it of the 150.
I saw the interview of one of the girls who became famous. Like
Mm.
her arm came off,
Uh,
dislocated, and all. Yeah. So
yeah, I think the
like it.
yeah, yes, you're
What?
talking. You're talking something, Chaitanya.
Yeah, I was just saying that I saw her interview and like she talked about her experience, how she got in and like when she was let go, there were quite a few people, Israeli people who were held hostages. And she kind of felt guilty because she had been with them for a long time. And nobody knew like whether you're going to die the next day or not.
Mm.
And yeah, like
Yeah, the reason was that like they study only Western way of war and think that that is the only way to fight wars. there are many Eastern way of wars. The Indian way of war is different. The Chinese way of war is different. The Russian way of war is different. Now, when the Western way of war meets this Eastern way of war, then came the conflict because they can't even define what is victory. Because the Westerns think that we have destroyed the installations, why they are not surrendering? And the Eastern people think that what's the point? Like destroying them doesn't mean anything for us. So that's why
One thing related to
I
one
like
thing
to
related to you
yeah
like to
I like to split, like I want to mention what is the Eastern way of war. The Eastern way of war was like the prolonged what you call scorched earth policy. Means when the enemy is invading, you retreat and you burn all the resources that the enemy needs to attack. And then when the enemy stops that advance, you you just don't attack immediately. You attack in a wave-like fashion. First of all, you just rather than finding the loopholes in the enemy territory, you'll create those loopholes. You constantly barrage the enemy lines and create some loopholes in that enemy line and start exploiting that. And even in that exploitation, you don't go deep. You just stay on the periphery like 100 or 200 kilometers, and then you neutralized all enemies there. And then you start the process and again and again and again.
Okay.
This way, you will
of
destroy entire armies.
recent that like there was an airstrike by Israel,
Mm.
which led to these Google employees protest more against the Nimbus
Yeah, they are
situation, like
fired.
Nimbus
All
project.
the Google employees were fired.
Yeah, 28 of them. Yes.
28,
But this thing began since, like, this has been going on since 2021.
mm.
But yeah, my point was, so what happened recently, like a month or so ago? Like Israel launched an offensive or something, and I
Yeah,
think 2 months, one or two.
Israel launched offensive on the north in the initial days itself. It was completed. The north is free of Hamas, and they pushed all the civilians to the south of Gaza. Now they want to find the people who are hiding in the civilians, and also they want to destroy the tunnel system in the entire north and south.
There are other things also at play if you think about it. So, for example, USS, like America's military aid to Israel is about 4 billion per year, or an average, in the past decade or so. And
Yeah.
since 1980, it has been about 120 billion in total.
Mm.
Like they started off with some half billion, 1 billion, and now it's about 4 billion on an average every year.
Mm.
And of that, Israel, like 1.2 or 1.2 billion was the deal with Google for its cloud services.
Mm.
That they will set up local like infrastructure and something, so that the data can be accessed through cloud, but also like the cloud locations are located within Israel itself.
Mm.
So I found this interesting that of the 4 billion that US gave them as aid, they 1.2 is like contract with Google just to get intelligence on this issue.
See,
Just
people.
to put into, because see, think about it. This has nothing to do with the ammunition on warfare or anything. This
Mm.
is just like the service you're using, right? You're
Because
kind of burning off.
they don't want to be like disconnected with the world when even if everyone goes like crazy.
One third of your army aid you are giving off to this kind of thing. It
Mm.
also like puts into perspective how seriously they are taking this, and like that they want a resolution this time. They don't want to prolong it any further.
See,
But
yeah, but people think that USA is paying Israel. Israel is already very rich. It need no aid from USA, and they are
no,
they are like trading it with Intel. It's not like it's a one-way stream.
what I meant was, often when some like a foreign country gives you aid, it comes at a cost that you will invest back into some of our companies. That
Mm.
was what I was pointing out. So probably like Israel paying them aid and then they paying the money back to, I mean, an American company is what I was implying.
Yeah, it's more or like it's on the face. Like under the hood, there will be there will. It is not like that. Under the hood, it will be like a strong intelligence and military connection only. It will not be like a business connection. See, the
So the
problem
deal
is this is. I'll tell you one thing. There is no way Hamas is going to win over Israel military IDF. The only way they are going to win is through protest in the Western societies, telling that this is a brutal war, this is like a crazy war, and things like that, and forcing the other nations to stop Israel.
I have nothing to add at the moment. I have a few questions though, but I'll ask in the meantime later.
Yeah, Sushma, do you want to add anything?
No, I have nothing to add. Whatever questions I had also, I asked yesterday.
Yeah.
So where do
And
you think, I mean, like, where do you think an end to this?
no,
How long does it?
it will take like even 1.5 year, even more, because like they Israel, who used to follow this kind of hitting military installation, now goes full
Mm,
on Eastern kind of warfare, where they don't want to leave anything, any building unturned. They want to
left over.
destroy everything as it existed in
Mm,
Gaza and want to rebuild from
mm,
scratch and want to raise
okay.
a generation which is de-radicalized. Means after 1 year of war, it will take like 10 or 15 years in order to de-radicalize the entire population, and they want to
So,
basically integrate them into
mm,
Israel.
so how, I mean, how it's going to handle, like, see, the Hamas also are integrated with the civilians, and uh, even now civilians are suffering so much because of Hamas
Mm.
and the this much of destruction is now discussing. So how can Israel handle to get Hamas and get them distracted? It is only through it's only done through suffering of civilians only, right?
Yes,
Now itself. Mm,
there is no other way. War is like
this
that.
was
See, I can say like okay, you can save this and save that. It's not going to happen. There are like centuries of history where it is happening like this only. If you want to change something, you should be some kind of great general like Zuka or Patton. But I am not such a guy. I guess Israel also don't have such kind of generals. I guess this will go this way only.
I kind see, even yesterday I asked some like international organizations, what is the role of international organizations?
See,
So they just like, mm,
yeah, they
uh,
get their funding from America. If America stops,
mm,
everything stops. That's it. The UN is
even
just
if,
a wing of
so
America.
they're just like, yeah, they're just like, what do you say? Their existence is just like in vain. No
Yeah,
use of, I mean,
yeah,
only when
because
small powers or small nations fight, only then they can show, they act like doing something. But whenever big nations are involved, they remain silent.
they
So
don't
what
have
is
such
the
power.
purpose
They
of
don't have a
this
standing
existence?
military. So if you
Do
don't
you
have a
think that okay? Do you think that there should be like change in the representation? Like we see na in UN, so these five powers are like they have veto and all. So do you think there should be a change in this structurization, like giving representation to other countries, and there should be reflection of multipolarism? So do you think to any
but
extent such kind of representation makes any difference
but I
in
don't
these
think you want
international
that
organizations, or
representation.
will it be the same?
Yeah, the thing that you have said, they already followed in Human Rights Council, United Nations Human Rights Council. You know who are in Human Rights Council, right? Saddam Hussein, Gaddafi, Afghanistan, Saudi Arabia. In Women's Rights Council, there is Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan. You will get these kind of aberrations when you try to include everyone equally. See, the problem, the thing that you are thinking this way is because you think the international
Mm,
community is a democratic community where everyone will get their
mm,
equal vote, which is not the case. It is an
mm,
anarchist world where the power and the vote of the country depends on the kind of economy defense they have. So usually the company that has huge economy and good defense will get a higher vote, like higher value of vote. See, it is not justifiable to consider the vote of America and Bangladesh equal.
Mm.
Both are like extreme polarities.
Mm.
So there is no point in like putting a democratic veneer to the United Nations. It is not.
Okay.
See, I get the idea like why people are asking these kind of questions, because they think
Mm.
the world starts from after 1945. They don't care about the wars that are fought before 1945 and how much legacy we are carrying forward because of that. That's why I'm saying war is like when rubber meets the road. Here there are no opinions. There are only facts. You cannot say I like this war, I don't like this war. Either you win or lose. That's it. There is no liking or disliking in the war. Any question?
What of late have you been following about this conflict?
Uh,
Like, what is something, some recent news that you found about this?
Recent news, it was the Iranian attack. Uh, have you followed that thing? The Iranian attack.
Mm.
But you
I
see,
heard it.
right? Like,
I heard of it.
see that's why I said like you should not take the newspaper news as like on face value. All the Arab nations condemned, right, Israel. But do you know Jordan helped in bringing down the missiles from Iran to Israel? Despite Jordan condemning,
Jordan help?
Is-
What?
Jordan helped
Jordan?
Jordan helped Israel to bring down the missiles that are
Mm.
coming from Iran.
Okay.
Despite condemning publicly telling that
Israel
Israel
attack
doing this
and
evil
okay.
and this kind of stuff, because they want to grandstand.
Okay.
But on the ground level, they understand like if Iran comes to power, they don't have any say in the world meetings.
Mm.
So even though
Even
everyone
now,
will
like,
condemn publicly,
uh,
on private they
mm,
will support Israel. Like for example, the Jordan, Saudi Arabia, Egypt, they like everyone will
mm,
condemn Israel publicly. But Egypt will never take the Gazans as their refugees. Jordan will never take
mm,
the Gazans as their refugees, but support Israel.
mm,
And
mm.
Saudi doesn't, South doesn't even care now. They just want Israel tech. That's it.
Okay.
Now,
Uh,
I'll tell you a good like story. When during 1967
mm,
war, Jordan doesn't want to
mm.
attack Israel, but
Okay.
it doesn't want to be seen by the world as someone who didn't attack Israel. So
Oh, mm,
the king of the Jordan called the Israeli president and told that we just want to send some tanks on the southern border of Israel. You just
mm.
do a friendly fire and we'll retreat, and we can tell to the world we just attacked Israel. This is an actual conversation. This is not I am making it up. There are documents proving that this conversation happened. And the what is the reply of the president was, see, we are having like full blown attack from Lebanon and Egypt. We cannot take this. We cannot move the troops. Despite that, Jordan moved
Mm,
a little front, and then the
mm,
Israelis bombed them. There was like five or
mm,
six tanks destroyed, and the Jordans retreated and declared to the world like, yeah, we invaded Israel as well.
mm.
These are not serious militaries. That's what I'm saying. Like Israel.
Okay. Now, I mean, I have another question. See, basically, the people in Gaza and West Bank, or all of them are Sunni Muslims,
Mm,
population only.
mm.
So, you told yesterday from yesterday discussion that Iran actually want to grow as a what is that real face of the
Shia power.
Islam
Mm,
population,
mm.
Shia power. But why does Iran, which is basically a Shia country, trying to help trying to come in the middle to do something for Sunni Muslims?
Yeah, this is
So,
like very good question, and I'll explain why. What is the geopolitics that Iran is playing? Iran is supporting
mm,
Hamas, which
mm,
if you ask any like serious military historian, they'll say if Hamas go to war with Israel, Hamas will be destroyed. But
Mm.
Iran can project it as supporting global Ummah. That's why they supplied arms to Hamas. Now, on the back end, what they're doing, there is a huge military. Like Hamas was like 1/10 of Hezbollah in Lebanon. Hezbollah has an actual military, which is a Shia power. So when Hamas is destroyed, what will be the power in the Israeli conflict? Military power, Hezbollah.
Okay.
So Hezbollah controls Lebanon now.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
They want Hamas to be destroyed so that Hezbollah will become the center of the stage. And they are slowly building
Okay.
Hezbollah. Go and read the Hezbollah ammunitions and the Hezbollah arms, like what kind of weaponry they have and what kind of like technology they have. It is far, far better than Hamas. Iran is not
Okay.
supplying those things to Hamas. They are supplying like low-grade rockets, so that they
So
can
it's
harass Israel and they'll take the attack from the Israel. And Hezbollah
So it is
can remain safe. It's purposefully doing that.
Purposefully making Israel to defeat Hamas.
Hamas.
It is actually playing that trick.
Yeah.
Okay. So again, there will be conflict for these two, right? In the near future.
Hezbollah is powerful. It's not like Hamas. It has an actual standing army. It's not terrorist. It used to be a terrorist organization, but it evolved into a standing army in Lebanon. Now, because of Hezbollah only, the Shia majority in Lebanon came to power. So it has an experience as well of fighting wars, civil war in Lebanon. Now they will have Iranian backing as well. Now Iran is having a proxy just beside Israel. They have a Lebanon state of control of Lebanon now. So if Hamas war ends, then the conflict will start with Hezbollah. So that's why, like,
I have a question regarding the history of Israel. I'm not sure if all of you have discussed this or not, but yeah, one of the earlier things was like the settlement of like since 1945 and 47 onwards, they've been trying to settle a lot of the Jewish population there, right? And earlier it started off with some very minimal population to a point where in the 80s, I think, where even the population in Gaza was like almost 2 to 3 times that of the settling. In the West Bank, the settling population was almost 1/3 that was of that originally the like Palestinian people were.
No,
now,
it was
today,
not 1/3. It was not 1/3. The number is
no.
very
The settlers were like 1/3 what the original population of Palestinians was.
It depends on like how you define settler.
I'll give you the
Okay.
example.
Complete the question. I'll tell you.
It's not about that. It's about now today you see that the non-Arab population there of combined like Israel is about 9.8 million, whereas the population of like Arabs in Gaza and West Bank is 2 and 3 million, like 5 roughly, right? So the native population has become almost twice, which is like 10 million roughly, to what you have for 2 and 3 million, right? Now the question is, I have 2 questions regarding this. One is, this must not have happened in like a year or 5-year, 10-year time. This has happened over like 50 years time, let's say. 30 to 50 years of time that this sudden growth in population has happened. Not sudden, like gradually this population has increased. Number one. So one thing is about how did you, when you are, or like there is this controversy that, firstly, in UK, I don't know why they have this issue with partitioning land in a very weird way. Like even with India, for example, you have Pakistan, West Pakistan, which doesn't make sense. Like you're separating two parts which are separated by a different mainland. Similarly for Israel, right? So you're separating two, like the Gaza and West Bank, you have the like other population living in between. So in all those, my point, second point was like in all the previous issues and accords that have been signed, the same thing stands. Like the Palestinian population, they ask for these two independent places, like Gaza and West Bank, right? Even today, that is their standing. That we want this and we want all of the prisoners that you have taken from Hamas to be given back to us, right? So if this is the standing issue, why did everyone let the population grow so heavily? throughout this, let's say, last 30 years or 40 years of time. And two, like, why wasn't it questioned, like, can't we partition this in a different way? Maybe give the West Bank and add some more territory to it and give that to the Palestinians and let the Gaza Strip be completely, absorbed into Israel or something.
Uh, uh, Started the question that basically Chaitanya asked was why they allowed that population to grow that much, which he is right. Like the population of Gaza and West Bank was 5 million, and the population of Israel was around like
Combined.
10 to 11 million. But the thing that he is missing was there was already 3 million Arab Muslim population in Israel proper. So when you divide the population based on Jews and Muslims, you'll get roughly equal population when you combine Gaza, Israel, and West Bank. Now, when David Ben Gurion established Israel, it is the fundamental, like one of the basic thing that they read was that Israel should always be a Jewish majority state, no matter what. So, for that reason, they cannot absorb West Bank and Gaza. And it is a well-known fact from 1990s that West Bank and the Arabs always wanted to produce more kids and outnumber the Jews and took over Israel democratically. It's not like it's a conspiracy theory. Yasser Arafat did that.
Despite that, you still have like, what I meant to say was, if you look at any of the documentaries or anything, they properly tell you that, okay, this is the time when the population was such and such, like the non-Arabs versus Arabs population there. Right?
See,
So
I'll give you one thing. There is no such thing as non-Arab and Arab.
My point.
Everyone is Arab or everyone is not.
My point there was, like, on two grounds. One is the population, right? How did you let the population increase to such an extent? And the base issue is still the same. Base issue is still the same, that like, Palestinians want independence of these two places, right? And they want to govern it themselves, etc. So, like, the base issue is the same, which was like 40, 50 years ago. How have you been unable to solve it?
Okay, I'll give you the answer. Basically, that is the thing that you read on newspapers. Basically, they are telling that they want two-state solution, and then everything will go. But that is not the case on the ground. On the ground, the Palestinians want, their slogan was basically from river to sea, Palestine will be free. Means from Jordan River to the Mediterranean Sea, everything will be free and Palestine will be free.
River to sea.
From river to this.
They wanted the complete. They wanted the complete thing for
complete
themselves.
thing.
That's what you're saying.
On the ground level.
So just like the Israeli who hold the same belief,
Israel
right?
also say it.
Same belief. They have a similar slogan.
Yeah.
That everything west of Jordan is theirs.
Theirs.
Jewish thing.
Now that became popular in like around like 2007 because they saw Israel elected a lot of prime minister that want this two-state solution, but it didn't work out. After that, after 2007, they came to the, like, basically the Israeli population mood also changed, telling that there is no point in. They gave up on the two-state solution, and now they want the entire thing. But it's like there is a lot of politics involved. But I can tell you, Israeli-Gaza war is not. I can't even consider a war.
See, you can show your concern for something that is happening, but at the same time, like, the more you read about it, you will see that the concern for both parties have been the same, like, through the last 40, 50 years, barring the terrorism and barring the death of people, like, each of their people.
No, it's not the same. It's not the same. I'll give you another example. From 1947 to 1967, there is no mention of such thing named Palestine. There is no state of Palestine. It was called Jordan, and they want to merge into Jordan. Basically, they want to make Israel free of Jews, and they want to merge into Jordan. Now, after 1967 war, Jordan backed down and telling that we don't want to fight a war with Israel. We want a stalemate. Then this Palestinian thing came. Husseini, who head that Palestinian revolt in 1947, he publicly said that, see, the Jews came here legally. They bought land legally. We just don't want the Jews here. I don't care whether they bought land legally or not. It was an actual statement from the guy who led the Arab populations in the present day Israel, Husseini. I didn't remember his full name. It was like something big, and he is a supporter of Hitler, by the way. He even gave Hitler soldiers from Albania. I think, yeah, Muslim soldiers from Albania to serve in Switchstaffel SS
I'm not
death
aware of
squads.
anything of this. All I remember is like how so like the British took over from like took aid of the Arabs in
Ah,
displacing the Ottomans,
yeah,
and then
that
they
was in
1917
mm,
1417.
1970. That was Lawrence of
1917
Arabia
this
story. That
yes,
is different from
Lawrence
Palestine.
of
It has
Arabia.
nothing to do with Palestine.
No, that is how the whole like Israeli settlement came into existence. And then during the Second World War, it became like a genuine thing, like
Blurriness.
No,
everyone
no.
supported.
Even before that, there are Jewish settlements there.
Yeah, but my point there was that was under Ottoman control.
Hmm.
And then you had the British enter there. They wanted to like take control of those places so they can be connected to India through the sea routes.
Hmm.
Right. So that
Hmm.
to them that was an important part.
Yeah, that was an
Like
important part.
they could stay connected to the African mainland also through Egypt and then also through India through the sea route.
Hmm.
Anyway, my point was that is the only piece of history I know about Israel before the conflict started, like 45
Hmm.
onwards when the settlement started. Then yeah, like aggressively after a point, aggressively they started settling more and more Jews and giving them the like confidence that okay, you settle here and our army will be there to protect you. Which is also one more thing. Like no matter what happens, I think this is like the end of who's the like prime minister of Israel,
Netanyahu.
Netanyahu, Benjamin
Continue.
Netanyahu. I
I
think
think it will
that
get.
is the end of him
I don't think so. The more see,
because
that's what I'm saying. We are projecting India into Israel. In India, like if the people will blame India for everything. Like they'll say like India is like that, India is illiberal and this kind of thing. In Israel, they will blame the government, but they don't blame the state of Israel. Now they will blame Netanyahu for letting Hamas kill 2,000 people. They don't blame
Mm.
Netanyahu for conducting the war because Israel is
wow.
conducting the war, not Netanyahu.
Yeah, because their interest is this much only, na, that you incentivized us to settle here
Mm,
under the hopes that we are here to protect you.
mm.
But like on day one only for 8 hours, the army like nobody from the army was there.
There. For
The
that,
army was
the Israeli people should replace the person who is more radical than Netanyahu. But there is no such person.
Acha,
There
what
is
do you
only
think
left of
happened?
Netanyahu.
What do you think happened during the first 8 hours? Like, why
Okay, I'll
was
tell you.
no one
I'll tell you
coordinated?
like basically what I got an inform. It's not like information from the reading and the people.
Intelligence,
From
top secret
intelligence
intel.
reports, what I can say was even before
Uh,
the October 7th, like it was like six
Mm.
months or 7 months, the
uh,
Israelis allowed the Gazans to do
Mm.
work in the Israeli proper and to take money and go to
Mm.
their homes at night. So
Mm.
basically, they are using it as labor. So these laborers, when they enter Israel, they mapped the entire this thing, the geography of this thing, and they are passing the information to Hamas, telling like if there is an attack, where will the civilians will hide, and where will the commander will be, and when will the shift will happen, and what is the time that there will be no soldiers. Now,
I think there were individual soldiers, but there was no
yeah,
instruction that they were
there was
given.
no instruction.
That is
This
the
is big.
concerning issue.
That is because it ties to Ukraine and Russian war. See, during the initial days of Ukraine and Russian war, Russia invaded Ukraine and going through the defenses. But slowly, Ukrainians started building this low tech and
Hey,
low
but
cost weapons. I'll explain it. Like 10 minutes. I'll just give it a brief. Low tech and low cost weapons like drones and this kind of like Molotov cocktail bombs and these kind of stuffs, which can destroy tanks. The drones, you see the footages of drones destroying tanks, right?
Mhm.
They exactly took those kind of technologies and started using those in the attack. There are tanks in Israel at that time
Mm.
of the attack, but they used this technique to neutralize them. Once they neutralized them, they started attacking the civilians, and the people, the soldiers who are started like responding, telling that we need military support, we need military support. But they didn't expect this scale of anything happening. They thought like it's a normal kind of incursions that will be happening, like two or three terrorists will be coming,
Mm.
that's it. They didn't know the
Mm.
scale of the invasion.
Mm.
So it took like 8 hours to understand like what happened. for us also, it took like at the initial stages, it came like, oh, okay, 10 people died, and then 100 people. Then the death toll always went to 1200 and 2000. Even we
Mm.
don't know during the initial hours like what is happening. And this is like,
And
yeah, this is a total intelligence failure of Israel Mossad.
Like I think the kind of uh, like they live in this kind of situation every day, right? Something like this could happen to them every day. This is what they train for. So you would at
No,
least
not every
expect
day.
them to
From
perform better.
no, it
Nay,
will happen every day,
like
but
there
they
is this.
expect their like communication and missionaries to counter that.
That's what I mean. Like this is something which is expected. So like in the first eight, basically the first 8 hours, you don't hear a single report of like even the like individual soldiers that I'm talking of.
Mm,
You'd only hear of them getting killed.
mm,
Like I saw one of the interviews where they had these both Palestinians and Israelis face to face talk
mm,
about their experiences. Like basically people who are settled in the US or something, who though they had their relatives living there at this time, so they were
mm,
sharing those experiences. So like one of the guys was like Israeli. He said like my brother or someone died in the like
mm.
defending the people in the idea.
The
So he
reason
was
that
someone who was
even the soldiers didn't
the
kill.
reason the reason I say this is because, if, for example, if you compare that with 26/11 Mumbai attacks,
Mm,
there is a stark difference because, uh, like you're seeing that okay, this attack has been happening, and if you followed it in real time, everyone was thinking okay, there is this one guy who's doing everything,
mm,
right? And immediately after 1 hour, you see okay, there's some other place this thing is happening. So
mm,
suddenly you realize, and at the same time, this is like the city did not have any infrastructure for this.
mm,
Despite like being such a major hub, there was no armed force like set up to basically work on
mm,
such an issue.
mm,
So there you can still give an excuse, okay, 8-10 hours or 12 hours, whatever happened. But here you have a situation where obvious you know who your enemy is, what are the likely ways they're going to invade, and yeah,
yeah,
like
I'll tell you why it will didn't happen, because for almost like a decade or so, the
it
media
looks
start.
like
Yeah, I'll tell you.
it's
The
so
media demonized the IDF soldiers for inhuman treatment of
humanize.
Gazans. So the
Mhm,
IDF was given clear instruction telling that
mm.
only if you get a command from your higher officials, you should not shoot a Gazan, no matter what.
Oh, okay.
Because if someone will get it on camera and they'll publish it in international media, it will give a bad light
Mm,
on Israel. So we
mm.
don't want any
hey,
soldiers taking their individual decisions to kill Gazans.
it's not about just killing, it's also about preventing or like protecting your civilians from getting taken as hostage.
That happened like afterwards, like when this full scale, this they came in trucks and bikes. Then this hostage taking happened when almost like all the soldiers were killed in the initial defenses.
Okay. So
Okay,
what's your
that's what
take
I'm thinking.
on
We are
the
thinking it
second
as like an
question?
Indian Pakistan thing. No, it was much complex. In India, if a Pakistan soldier enters, we will say shoot him. We don't care whether he's a good guy or some kind of guy who just got missed and came to border. We don't care about that. It's not the case in Gaza and Israel conflict.
Krishna, you were saying something.
I know, I was just asking what's his take on your second question. Like, why can't they give some part of territory to
It's not possible.
West Bank?
That's what we consider it as like a piece of cake, but that is the land
Mm,
soaked in blood. You cannot see. Consider a
Hey,
mother
the point
who
is not
sacrificed.
the point is not that why can't we do this? The point is why haven't they done this in the past 30,
Because
40 years?
because the land is soaked in blood. There are so many dead bodies on it. Like you cannot say. Let's say a mother who has his 5 children lost
mm,
all his 5 children to the Israeli IDF. She will never say like we will have a peace. She says like I want revenge for my sons. Once this domino starts, there is no stopping. That's why the reason I like war, it's not like I like war. It's the reason I will study war was it is very concrete. You cannot say I believe this, I believe that, I think this, I think that. There is something on the ground. You should know that. That's it.
I have one simple question. Why is West Asia called Middle East?
That came from World War II because there is three sources
Mm.
through which USA supplied to USSR. One was
Three sources.
three
What?
sources, three paths
Mm.
in
Mm.
which America supplied USSR. One
Mm.
was through Pacific.
Okay.
Second comes from Finland through Arctic.
Mm.
The third comes from
Mm.
Iran.
Okay.
So they, after like landing in Iran, the Americans named it as Middle East. They consider Russia to be East, Far East,
Mm.
and
Okay.
Iran, which
Mm.
is on the middle, they call it Middle East. That's it. That's the thing, I guess. There may be other stories also, but this is the one that I know. They consider China and India to be Far East. That's it. China is Far East definitely. India is like subcontinent. Okay, I'll ask you one question.
That's another question.
Like why?
Hello.
I want to know like
Mm.
why you think that Israel and Gaza war was violent? What makes you think that? Like kind of like it
Because
was
as
like
you said, yeah, because as you said, I have only come through the news which is given in the newspaper and the photos and the videos that I've found on the internet, and which actually looks like very brutal.
hmm,
And the
because you see photos
um
probably.
yeah, that's what I said. Because I have seen so far, I've only seen the photos and the newspaper clips which is published, but I was not that much aware of the history, what you told yesterday. So yeah, that is why I was thinking that Israel is a kind of a bad state, and extent to what is that, to make its nation and to stand itself as a single nation. I thought like it was not even considering. I did not know that Gaza and people were given employment in the Israel even before in the past. So I was just thinking that Israel always wanted to Israel always wanted to fight with Palestine. They never treated them as humans. So just going through the recent information what I got, I had kind of this kind of imagination, but which I think I have misunderstood. So now I get the another picture.
Yeah, it's like I don't understand why people will like basically think that way. Okay, you consider it to be brutal.
Hello.
I
Mm,
understand. I
mm,
Okay, that's your standard basically. If 12,000
mm.
people are killed, you consider it to be brutal. I'll take that standard. Now, can I apply that same
Mm.
standard to India when Bangladesh
Also,
was
I
invaded?
think yeah, I know. I know. I also think that like maybe because of our society values also, maybe we think that if something like war is happening, the person who has initiated or who has taken it to the extreme means we kind of judge like it is going extremist, and we without much awareness or the knowledge about the past or history, we stay judgmental.
Yeah, like I saw one placard like a feminist for Palestine. Then I lost my respect for all the feminist association. I like it was like there is no point in supporting them. No, they are like a chicken for KFC.
What is the likely solution in your
What did you
opinion?
listen and
Where
what
like
you can you share? Mm.
There is like
what?
it's Israel is going to war and it's going to destroy Gaza. That is the future. There is no likely solution for that. See, the reason that people think there will be some kind of middle ground is they consider it to be like basically trading land. It's not land they are trading. It is the kind of trait that they carry from their ancestors. It's their legacy. It is on their shoulders to carry that forward. Now, what does it tell?
They're so getting banned.
Okay, I don't care.
So, and do you think at any time this West Asian crisis stops, and do you anytime expect, if not peace, at least a kind of a stability in the West Asia?
That's why even your philosophy and my philosophy differs a lot. I want trouble that is manageable. You want peace. You want heaven. I
Okay.
just want earth.
What
There
were
will
you
not be.
asking? What were you asking,
I was
Sushma?
Just
asking.
she basically asked, "Will there be peace in the Middle East?" I was like, I don't even have hope. It's like that is asking for heaven. You are aiming for heaven. I just want
I
earth. I
think
just want manageable trouble.
inherent political nature is to always create a conflict so people can.
See, if I
Yeah.
start explaining that
There is always
complexity of
need
the
for
Middle East,
politicians.
yeah, it will take like 5 or 6 hours because there are so many tribes involved and there has so many history involved, and like every tribe has their own perspective. I
Do you
didn't
have
even
anything
explain the
else
difference between Hashemites and
nice?
Saudis, which itself takes like 60 minutes. These are like basically two kingdoms. The Souths that we see are not the actual inheritance of the Makkah Madinah that they rule. The Souths come from the north of this place called like place that is closer to Kuwait and these things. They, because
Mhm.
of their like desert dwellings, kind of became hard and started displacing the Hashemites, who were the actual rulers of Makkah and Medina. And now these Hashemites became the empire of Jordan, kingdom of Jordan, basically. The Hashemites are the actual descendants of Prophet Muhammad. But now the Souths rule the Mecca and Medina. The present king of Jordan is the actual descendants of Prophet Muhammad. You can carry the lineage all the way up to it's
I know.
because like I find it difficult to explain these kind of dynamics because all the people that I interact comes from kind of very civilized kind of people. They don't think world in the terms of war. They think the world in the terms of peace, and war is an aberration of that. Whereas I think world is
It's
war,
opposite.
peace
That
is
is
an
the truth.
aberration.
That is the truth. Yeah. Yeah, even with us, like I think early 2000s was a comforting time to grow up in because like a lot of things were happening.
Hmm.
Like you were transitioning from, especially in India, you were transitioning from like a very non-social or non-globalized economy to like to a point where let's say something which was released, let's say 1 year ago, is released today here, and then soon it became like the same day it is being released every.
Hmm.
That kind of.
Yeah, Sushma, do you want
Yeah,
to
but
tell
like
us some?
Nothing. Now I'm able to expect your answers.
See, that's what I'm thinking. The people who that is the Indian mindset. Basically, we write an UPSC paper and we think we can solve Israel-Palestine conflict. Nothing is going to happen. You're just a drop in the ocean. No matter if even if you get UPSC first rank also, we have read that UPSC first rank answer, right? Like how good it is. Two historical references and both are wrong, and the rest are poetry. If you speak this way to Israeli ambassador, he will look like if he will look at us like a fool only. Why is he giving this poetry to me when people are dying?
I think we'll have enough time to train about it. 2 years of time train.
Train,
Mhm.
you have too many expectations.
You have
Like
2 years,
you know,
2 years of time to
uh,
train about it.
training for what? To hit people going on bikes and cycles. They don't train to deal with Israeli
No,
ambassadors. I have seen one ambassador, Indian ambassador. walking with the Russian ambassador when in Leningrad cemetery. The Russian ambassador stopped and pay his homage to the people who died in Leningrad. And this guy is taking photos, selfies, and this kind of stuff. Such a stupid guy. He don't know how to behave, let alone know the differences. If someone is standing, 1.1 million people died due to starving in Leningrad, and he is
Wasn't he
taking
aware of
selfies. Yeah, he wasn't aware. Even being in Leningrad, he wasn't aware of that. Being an ambassador to Russia, that is the kind of caliber they are having. Okay, even
At
if
least he
they
might
don't
have
know,
told, right?
he might have at least stood calmly. If Russian
Yeah.
ambassador is going, maybe he knows something. We just have to be calm. He don't even have that manners. That's the kind of crap we are producing as the ambassadors.
Can you share me that video?
Yeah, I'll do that. Definitely for you. You should understand. There are a lot of stories that the people who work in defense and think tanks, right? They will tell like, see, we know a lot about this kind of issues, but we cannot even brief the ambassador about it because he don't know anything. He will be working in secretariat for tea, and suddenly he will be transferred as a Israel ambassador. What it has to do with both this? A secretary of fisheries or internal politics, and suddenly he will be an ambassador because like his rank increased, so he'll be
I
an
think
ambassador.
I think that's a different world altogether because like from my experience when I tell you uh like when we think of why some regulation has been passed or why something is so difficult to pass, we think of it in a different sense. Like
Mm.
we are more of result oriented, right? Like why has such and such thing not been implemented yet? But when you look at it from a judiciary's perspective or an executive's perspective, it's quite different. And it becomes apparent when you take a look at any of the, let's say, in case of judiciary, you take a look at the arguments that have been made in the High Court or Supreme Court over time, then it makes sense kind of how these things are being interpreted.
Mm.
So, uh,
Yeah, and
what were we
there was
talking about?
another story where like one of the think tank guy asked for some documentation on some kind of treaty that happened between two countries. You know what the secretary's answer was? He said like, see, we remembered Vedas through oral recitation for almost like 1800 years because the Vedas were written in document during 1800s,
Shruti,
1800s. Uh, so why we need the documentation of these treaties? I was like, that guy should be put in jail. That's it. There is no other option. Being a secretary, your job is to document everything.
I think Tarun, you have been quite influenced by the wrong bunch of people, and
You
you
tell
need
me
some
tell me the
good
right
role
guys.
models in this
Tell
sense.
me the right guys.
I'll tell
I'll go and
you.
get influenced.
I'll tell you if and when I find them, because I don't think necessarily that is true. Because see, in this case, you need only a handful of good people. As long as these people are there to do the job right, it doesn't
You are
matter what
basically,
rest
yeah,
of the
no,
population
yeah,
does.
because you are giving a hero perspective. I don't want a hero perspective. I want a systems perspective. Even if the villain enter into the system should have that contingency to avoid that villain doing wrong things. I don't want a hero on the top and doing the good things.
Hey, I'm not
That is
talking
not
about hero.
sustainable.
I'm
Kind of
saying,
good
let's
guy,
say
good
for
guy,
a,
good
I'm
guy coming
saying
on top
for
and
a,
doing good things.
let's say for a company to do well,
Hmm.
whatever, like, let's say if you're working at a company, for it to do well, let's say if you need 5 or 6 people or 8 people, let's say, to be doing really well at their job,
Hmm.
as long as these people are there and they're doing their job well, it doesn't matter what rest of the people do.
What if
Like
they
it
leave?
minimal
Okay,
then
they are good people and
you
they
see
work
the
for.
differences, na? Then you see the difference.
You don't see the systems differences. That is my. That's what I'm saying. You don't see the system differences. You won't. You only see the difference because of that person. Because of that
I'm not
person, something will be going fastly. If the person was removed,
uh,
it will come back to the normal stage.
true, but
Hmm.
I'm not saying it talking of it from like a hero's perspective. I'm saying that it applies everywhere. Universally, you'll see like for
No,
example, if
no.
you talk
I'll
about
give an.
something
I'll give an other institution where, irrespective of the individual, it will work the way it is. Israeli Mossad, which is like an intelligence system. We do, even though the heads will change continuously, and some heads are fools and some heads are very good, the efficiency will not change because the system is like that only. The intelligence service of India raw, even its effectiveness will not change no matter what who the head of the raw is, because there it involves like actual lives. ISRO, which come
I,
under
I
Prime
have
Minister,
very I have
ISRO
very
which come
little
under, yeah,
idea
yeah,
to have an
ISRO,
opinion on
okay,
this.
ISRO which come under Prime Minister, ISRO efficiency will not change if the government changes. It will be doing its work because the system is like that.
True. At the same time, you cannot like these are very extreme examples in the sense, like for example, you talked of ISRO. So
Hmm.
ISRO gets benefits from everywhere. Like it's not just the government agencies, it's also the elite institutions. Like
What
IIT
is the
Kanpur does
benefit that the
something, IIT
UPSC is
Madras does
not getting,
something.
that ISRO is getting? That I want to know. What is the benefit that UPSC candidates will not be
Nay,
getting that ISRO is getting?
what it's not about candidates and all. What I meant was the examples that you are giving, let's say Mossad or something. These
Hmm.
are the agencies. What you're saying is, let's say these 4 or 5 people leave their positions or suddenly die out.
Hmm.
These agencies won't fall drastically. Their performances won't fall, right? But at the same time, you're overlooking the fact that they are supported by various other agencies. Let's say.
Yeah, similarly, UPSC is also supported by various other
Now,
agencies. It's supported by everything actually, not just various other agencies.
what I meant was in context of like the civil services thing. What I meant was like, let's say if yeah, I mean, if you need 4 or 5 people to do well, as long as these people are doing, it does not matter what the rest of the people are doing. Like for example, if you look at any armed warfare, let's say Kargil warfare, if you look at Indian warfare, you would think like in India about there are 80 or so regiments, but not every regiment is going to participate. There will be 4 or 5 regiments only that's participating. In those also, you will hear the names of 4 or 5 people, 8 people. There are several people who die out, right? Who die out, who do not even get to like face the enemy. While they are charging, that's when they die out. But as long as these 4 or 5 people, if I'm not sure if you know the story of, I think Manoj Pandey is his name, who got Paramveer Chakra. If you hear the story why he got the Paramveer Chakra, that will kind of make you think like, okay, what it takes to get these medals. Like, it has become like a movie stereotype where you see every guy like who's
That
been
that
in a
is that
war,
is
they
my
get these
exact
Victoria Cross
problem.
medals.
That is the exact problem that I'm saying. That one guy has to do all the heroic thing, whereas the officers don't. Whereas if you go to America or Israel militaries, the officers will not allow the soldiers to get in contact with the enemy. They'll have their plans, they'll have
Okay.
their air support, they'll have their tank support, they'll have their artillery support. They want to minimize the casualties. Here, the officers will put the soldiers in the front line, and if 5 or 6 people will be brave and they'll win, they'll take the win to home.
Understood. Yeah.
You tell me like all the gold, like the medals that are given to the
I think
Americans.
one of the reasons for this is like you will see that the countries which have really prospered in the recent, like let's say 200 years or 300 years have been the countries who've had adversity back home. Like
I'll
in
give you
India, this
one other example. The living example was the General of American Armies, James Mattis. James Mattis, by from his soldiers, he was called as Mad Dog Mattis because he used to just kind of shout at the soldiers for training and everything. He want discipline, exact discipline. But when it comes to war, he always used to be at the front line. He always used to save his soldiers. Because of that, Mattis got medal. He saved a lot of soldiers from dying because of his plans, because of his visionary thinking. Whereas in India, it is
I
reverse.
don't think no, I don't think that's true. I think it has to do with like perspectives. Probably you've been exposed more, and also I think it's possible in India to like the way uh, Western things are documented. It's easier for us to get exposed to those things compared to what has happened in India. I don't think that is necessarily true. And if you
That
look,
is
you
one
will
of the way
definitely
we
find.
differentiate between Eastern and Western way of war. In Eastern way of war, we throw soldiers and expect win. Whereas in the Western way of war, the
True. I
population is
mean,
very less.
no, true. That is true. But at the same time, I don't think that that holds for every war or everything. Like if you read about different wars, there have been different situations. Even like the Kargil war, let's say. So there were different like objectives that were met, and you will hear quite a few different stories. Like, yeah, I think that has more to do with like what things you've been exposed to yourself more to compared to what is necessarily the truth.
I think
Sushma got
Sushma is
kicked
coming.
out.
No, she's coming
That's
back.
it.
We got only 4 minutes. Let's see what we can discuss. Yeah, Sushma, we got only 4 minutes. Do you want to tell anything? What do you think of our rant, by the way? Hello?
Hello.
Yeah, Sushma, do you want to tell anything? Like there is only 4 minutes left now.
Hello.
I added zero value to this episode. Sorry, people watching this.
Even from my side, I did not add anything.
Now only my rant. It was only my rant. So if there was complaint, you can say easily. It was Tarun everything. Tarun did everything. We are just listening.
That's true, right?
No, definitely I will drag you both. Like I'll say, this is your idea. You gave me script and I just read the script.
Achha. It looks like does it look like Tarun would ever read the script, especially if we have written it? Doesn't seem like it. Why though? Why did you pick this topic though? Amidst all of this, like there's so
It
many
was
things happening.
It was like burning topic, right? Like you can see that in news and social media is also filled with it. I just want to because I have a very different perspective of the things that are going on. Like I have seen many of my friends putting status also, like save these people.
Yeah, that I do.
Save Palestine.
Save Palestine, this kind of stuff.
I think my take on it, has been like, I think not having an opinion is also an opinion kind of situation. Like, I don't know. Probably some of these people, like I said, I have a few friends who are studying public policy or who have studied, let's say, political science or something. Probably they know better. Maybe not everyone is making an
no, they don't know better. If he is coming from humanities or philosophy or these kind of stuff, I don't listen to them. If they come from war or history, then only I listen.
I'm not saying that. I'm saying there are people who have legitimate opinions. It's just that I'm not in best contact with them to maybe, let's say, in a future episode, I may ask some of them to come and give their opinions also if they.
I also got some people, but they are too extreme. You can't handle them.
Same, yeah. I'm kind of like, I think to talk with those people, you need to also have your facts right. You can't just go and.
Wait, I will schedule something.
You want to record more?
If you want, then I don't have a problem. I don't have a problem going to jail. It would be fun.
I think we should, at least when we say something, you should be in complete control of it, right? Like we know what we have said at least. Here we are just innocent bystanders getting implicated in your rant. Sushma Vichari, she'll go to her interview. First question will be, you said this.
You are in contact with this person.
This person, yeah.
Yeah, they will be. They'll arrest me under UAP.
UAP, yeah. What kind of anti-nationals are you in contact with? Not anti-national, but like
anti-state.
Maybe one day we can also talk on that UAP, because right, you might be aware that some of the news channels, and they suddenly go and about news click channel.
Yeah, there was only 30 seconds left, Sushma. If you want to talk, you should join another meeting.
We should continue. We should first discuss. We don't need to record everything right
now. I'll not record that.
Don't record. I I'm just proposing a topic.